110. Texas, my home for 60 years, has never been so dry with so much dead and dying brush, nor experienced such high winds until this spring of 2025. Before now, only last year's monstrous Texas Panhandle fire was noteworthy. This week, after months, on top of years, on top of decades of ever-climbing stratosphere CO2 dry heat, winds roared 40 to 80 miles per hour. I waited for my metropolis of 1 million, with about that many leafless or dead trees and brown parched grass everywhere, to burn down in 48 hours, while most of the 1 million in motionless escape traffic jams leaped out and ran for their lives. Tonight I write because the sky has not yet turned orange and red over my city. 16 square miles to our southwest have burned. The fire is 60% uncontained, with days more high winds at desert dry, 15% humidity, likely to rip fire through another 16 square miles. And why not all of Austin? Sooner, not later. Remind me to move somewhere where rivers and lakes are not doomed, and I won't die soon of thirst while I also roast alive. The 260 fire trucks we somehow imported from around a state on fire in 28 other places amazingly achieved that 40% containment, but only while the wind eased up. The last 25 years of 30% CO2 emissions increase got Earth to the unstoppable 6-continent-wide fires of the 2020s. The worst of which roar 200-foot walls of flame across 2 new football fields every single second. How many cities in permanent, ever-worsening drought will not entirely burn before 2030? Only your treaty converts every warplane and helicopter to a lake water scooper fire dumper. Then we'll need to stop buying bombs, spend that money on Sky River coastal flood high riverbank pipes that send the water to refill lakes and water every forest and farm and city so forests neither burn nor die, quintupling CO2 emissions to kill humanity as dead as nuclear war would. Only so we'd avoid yet another 8 billion killer. No water to drink, no food to eat. And what do you need with Silly Steve's utopia? Surely we have other alternatives. And they are: 1. Die. 2. Fast. Several of my speeches detail Professor Tukor's coastal, hot, steamy, over-ocean sheets for condensing water for the use of the 40% of humanity near oceans. I have new technology to report, possibly ready to expand in combination with his concept to achieve the new watering of humanity with far greater power and scale. A water seer turbine, spelled SEER, is merely small cylindrical blades air spinning like a fan. Any humidity at all condenses on the blades and drips into a bottle. Presto! 10 gallons of clean, fresh water every day of the year. They work best attached to underground containers, speeding the condensation with cool air from below. Professor Tukor never thought to shrink his massive metal sheets 100 times, then spin them to impact the wet air 100 times faster. Do we wire 1 million electric motors to onshore electricity? Or just put atop each machine a solar panel to power it every sunny day and charge its battery for nights and cloudy days. Your treaty could also boom water seers to every home when billions lose municipal water supply, possibly soon. Arizona Indians denied municipal tap-in to the Colorado River, always theirs until 6 Supreme Court justices took it away from them, were given for each home a little dehumidifier producing a gallon a day, enough to keep nearly 4 of them half alive. One caring, loving man did that. Your treaty has a better option. Put our tax money into the company Aquaria, which makes machines that produce from 66 to 264 gallons of fresh water from the air per day. Call them at 1-888-589-4605. A mid-cost, mid-supply option is made by WaterGen Incorporated. Call them at 888-492-8370. I'm no expert, but I'm guessing that beach ocean desalination factories using enormously expensive osmosis and filtration technology and producing millions of tons of briny, mucky waste are not the wave of the future. Just don't sit back, take heart and relax, believing that competent, caring, responsible governments have studied the rocket-fast loss of river and lake water and jumped into their new supply or die duty. No, they spend our money on war and other corrupted purchases from companies that bribe them for nothing that helps or saves us. Only you gotta sue their butts off, hammer 'em for the treaty we need, and become our new legislators, judges, and presidents yourselves. Somewhere close to 90% of humanity today is watered by either polluted, diseased, or simply not enough supply. The recent water loss catastrophes I reported to you so far each found the plan B: delivery from other places with a bare surplus. The only question left to ask is not if 1,000 towns out of water will become 1,000,000, not one to be resupplied from anywhere, but when, and not in how many decades, but how few years, counted on how many fingers. Odds are pretty enormous that before war, fires, or economic depression kill you, you're gonna die of thirst about a year before gangs with machine guns enough to take the remaining bottled water do. Only the 500th Stevie story with the moral. Go rooftop solar before your power company dies. Make your own water before your lake is cracked earth, and help all humanity do the same. You'll have to reform governments with your laws, of course. That's our emergency now decade, achieved only with major disarmament and anti-corruption progress. A century of ever-multiplying atmosphere CO2 removal factories and ever-increasing regenerative farming that will store vastly more CO2 in vegetation, roots, and soil must proceed until stratosphere CO2, now headed up to 500 parts per million, is reversed down to normal rainfall and full lakes restored by normal 250 parts per million. But are you going to sit back and not demand these World Treaty projects because you think that I or any other of today's poor excuses for leaders and governments are about to, as they never have, do your job for you? I say you're smarter than that. And because you care about, love, and will protect everyone's family, you're better than that. We tough gotta get going before the going will get too tough.